Olympic champion over 100 metres. Hannah England alongside me for this fourth session, as she has been all the way through. Remember, a global medalist outdoors over 1500. The three semi-finals of the men's 60, really hotly contested. Tough qualification, as you'd expect, 2+2 across the three events. Now, the mascots, by the way, we were a little bit caught off guard this morning with the names. I can reliably tell you the mascots are called Eve, the plum, and Lee, the raspberry. The plum is considered lucky, and the raspberry is to represent Serbia being a major producer of the fruit. So there you go, Eve and Lee.
Eve and Lee, which one was which again?
Hang on.
I mean, they're having a great time.
Lee is the raspberry.
Lee the raspberry and Eve the plum.
Yes.
Nice.
The plum and the raspberry.
Wouldn't want to get that wrong.
Do you remember when Robert Harting won the world discus title, and didn't he carry the mascot on his back, or the mascot carried him? Something happened with Robert Harting, the German discus thrower. It was so funny at the time.
Love a bit of mascot action. I should have a race. That's what I think's best. Two mascots versus Jenny Meadows on the infield. That's what I want.
Let's see if we can make that happen.
Not sure I have that kind of power. Marcell Jacobs might, though. Yeah, I loved his comments in the press events on Friday. He was just quietly confident. He doesn't have to be here. He's just won the Olympic Championships. He doesn't have to come out on this arena and prove himself again, but he's choosing to. He wants to test himself. He finished his outdoor season early to get himself ready for this indoor season, because this event matters to him.
I also thought he spoke really well. Arthur Cisse getting himself poised and ready. He's had a good indoor season. I thought Jacobs spoke really well in that press conference. It was in Italian, but you can read quite a lot by the manner in which someone talks, and it was composed, it was measured, it was confident and relaxed. Jacobs is in a fabulous frame of mind, but he's going to have to go some to beat Coleman, judging on what we saw this morning.
It's time for the women's pole vault final.
The warm-up track is busy.
First look at these men in the semi-final of the 60 metres. Jamaica's Ellis leading them out. Andrew Robertson of Great Britain. Saw him practicing his starts with Olympic champion Darren Campbell down in the warm-up area.
Ellis will be in lane 1. Mario Burke of Barbados will be out in lucky lane 8. So many good runs from lane 8, it's nuts. But this is a big moment for these men, 8 of them, only the first 2 coming back for the last of our finals this evening. That will be around about 9:20 local time here in Serbia. Three semi-finals, tantalisingly close to getting underway. Marvin Bracy goes in the first. He was the quickest qualifier, PB of 6:46. World Indoor Silver way back in 2014. The American, now 28 years of age. We'll be watching out in this one, as Hannah mentioned, for Andrew Robertson, twice a national indoor champion. just off the podium in the European indoors last year. He's just tying his shoelaces up in lane 2, or just behind his blocks. That's Burke of Barbados. He'll be in lane 8. Jared Elcock, Pan American relay silver medalist a few years ago. Trinidadian, he goes in 6. There's Bracy. This will be a highly competitive semi. Right then, the first of 3 semi-finals in the men's 60 metres. Only the top 2 coming back for the climax of the evening. Less than 3 hours' time. Nigel Ellis, PB in qualification. He's a former World Junior bronze medalist over 200 metres. Andrew Robertson, 2-time national indoor champion, made the semis 4 years ago. Could he go one better here in Belgrade? Marvin Bracy, the fastest qualifier, massive PB of 6:46. How close will he have to go to that in the semis to make sure of a return in the final? Ferdinand Omanyala, the African record holder, 9:92 in the Olympic semis last year, and it wasn't good enough for the final. Travis Collins, representing Guyana, a transferee from the United States. Will he need to improve on that 6:61 PB to make the final? Jared Elcock, second in Heat 5 with 6:63 this morning. The 23-year-old with a big task on his hands here. Imranur Rahman of Bangladesh, national indoor record to make the semi-finals. This is the biggest race of his life. And in lucky lane 8, quarter-finalist from the Olympics last year, Mario Burke. The Barbadian in lane 8. Ellis, Jamaica in 1, Robertson, Great Britain 2, Bracy, USA 3, Omanyala, Kenya in 4, Collins, Guyana 5, Elcock, Trinidad in 6, Rahman, Bangladesh in 7, Burke, Barbados in 8. Top 2 coming back for the final. Bracy in 3 will believe this is his opportunity. Fastest man this morning. He's already been on 1 World Indoor Championship podium with a silver 8 years ago. Can he give himself the chance of another? He'll be 3rd from the right as they rise.
Stand up.
Oh, so the tension mounts. I was really looking forward to that, and I'm sure they were like coiled springs in the blocks, so I couldn't see to my naked eye what the issue was, but of course there's a fair bit of activity going on in the peripheral vision of the officials and the athletes with the early stages of the women's pole vault competition.
No infraction.
So just a little word with Jared Elcock. I couldn't see the issue to the naked eye. We don't want any more disqualifications after the tears of the young Spaniard this morning. Right then, Ellis, Jamaica 1, Robertson, Great Britain 2, Bracy, USA 3, Omanyala, Kenya 4, Collins, Guyana 5, Elcock, Trinidad 6, Rahman, Bangladesh in 7, Burke, Barbados in 8. Top 2 coming back for the final. Bracy the fastest in the field. He'll be 3rd from the top in lane 3 for the United States. We go again.
Set.
There was another little stutter there. Oh, one of the athletes has been left in the blocks. That hasn't been the case for Bracy, easing down on the line. Brilliant run by Marvin Bracy. Andrew Robertson had one hand on the 2nd spot for a while. Then it got a little bit tight just behind him. A real shame for Rahman of Bangladesh, who was left standing in his blocks. Not quite sure what happened there. He's having a look with the officials, but I think it'll be academic. Robertson looking up for the confirmation. The initial statistics are saying that he got 2nd place, but it was very tight, and I'm not sure. What we are certain about is that Marvin Bracy started brilliantly and powered his way all the way through the line, 6:51. So what on earth happened with the Bangladeshi? Well, he just got left in the blocks.
He clearly, I don't know if he didn't hear the gun or if he thought that there'd been a false start from Jared Alcock outside of him, if he decided it was a false start, but the men were away. 7 of them heard enough to get them started. Andrew Robertson, that was a much better performance than he had this morning. The system in the stadium is implying that he didn't quite hold on to that second place. But Marvin Bracy, such a proficient starter, as is Andrew Robertson. So I think that's perhaps why they were so closely matched at the start. But Marvin Bracy coming good at the end. Ferdinand Ajomale looked good up to this stage. It'll be interesting to see what the computer churns out as the official result for this race. It's so tight for second place.
Lovely high leg lift from Marvin Bracy, the silver medalist from Sopot 8 years ago. Ajomale just a couple of thousandths behind Andrew Robertson. It was tight for the minor places, really tight. Well, the fastest qualifier for the semis is in the final. Marvin Bracy easing up with 6:51. Jared Alcock given the nod for the second spot. So tight between Robertson and Ajomale. They will now face an anxious wait to see if 6:64 is good enough for the 2 non-automatic qualifiers. Plenty of drama in store in our second 2 semi-finals, the men's 60 metres.
Looks like just the 7 men lining up for this event. In lane 1 will be David Vivas. His national record of 6 seconds and 63 could put him in contention for the semi-final. He didn't look that good this morning. Lane 2 is Stephen Abossi. National record in 2022, he equalled that in the heat. In lane 3 is the double Olympic champion. Took those gold medals for Italy in the 100 metres and the 4x100, here to test himself over a shorter distance, Marcell Jacobs. Lane 4, Arthur Cisse, Ivorian national record this morning, 6:53. In lane 5, Adam Thomas, he won the British Championships in a Scottish record. That's that personal best you can see there, 6 seconds and 56. In lane 6, Shuhei Tada, he's led Japan off to 2 World Championship bronzes in the 4x100. Lane 7 will be our final competitor, Karl Nazarov. He lowered his own national record by 0.07 of a second this morning.
Those are athletes for the second semi-final.
Cisse and Jacobs in 3 and 4. The fastest on paper. Marcell Jacobs looking so smooth this morning, easing down to a 6:53. First 2 across the line automatically qualify for tonight's final.
Set.
Oh, just the Japanese athlete there, Tada, falling out of his blocks.
And look how far down the track Marcell Jacobs got. He was within about 20 metres of the finish line.
Really turning these races around fast. Once they've disqualified someone, you can see there, lane 6, that is Shuhei Tada of Japan.
And actually, there was the merest hint of a twitch by Nazarov, the Estonian, who was getting pumped up in the lane alongside him. He was whipping the crowd into a frenzy. There was a twitch by Nazarov, and that's what set Tada off in the lane on his inside.
And that twitch in Nazarov, if he did twitch, that would be kind of faulty start, false start as well. The camera focusing on Shuhei Tada. And this lady has had this horrible job all weekend. And it is a disqualification for Japan. You can see that negative reaction time there. He moved before the gun even went. It's heartbreak for Japan's Tada. So helpful to that 4x100 metre team, so reliable on their first leg, picking up a pair of world bronze medals. He's not going to contend anymore in this World Indoor Championships.
I think that's harsh because he was set off by a twitch from Nazarov, who is still on the track in lane 7.
So Nazarov there to the left of screen, moving across. Lane 5 will be Thomas of Great Britain, lane 4 Cisse of the Ivory Coast, lane 3 Jacobs of Italy, lane 2 Abossi of Botswana, and lane 1 Vivas of Venezuela.
Set.
No way this time. Everyone's sitting in their blocks a little bit for me. Adam Thomas got a great start, but here comes Marcell Jacobs. Did Adam Thomas of Scotland and Great Britain sneak himself into second place there? The initial graphic says so, but we saw that for Britain's Andrew Robertson in the previous heat. But no question about the winner. It was Marcell Jacobs. A tentative start for me, maybe playing it safe. He won't be able to do that against the final, in the final against Christian Coleman. If he successfully navigates his heat, that's next. But the Olympic champion from Italy, Marcell Jacobs, striding off, asking, where do I go? I need to go and warm down. Cisse will be bitterly disappointed if he misses out on this final.
6:45. I thought it was a little bit tight early on for Jacobs. Come the second half of the race, he began to pull away, but he had to work very hard. Third from the right-hand side, Cisse and Thomas going well. Jacobs up at this point, and Nazarov came through very, very late. I think you're right, Thomas might just have dipped himself over the line and into the final.
Some fantastic start from Adam Thomas there, really held his nerve. When you see a false start, we saw Tada get disqualified. Having the nerve to still give it everything in that start. Really impressive there from Great Britain's Adam Thomas. Lamont Marcell Jacobs, he maybe doesn't have to take that risk when his second half of the race is so strong, so powerful. You can see that official result. That has been confirmed, a win and a world lead for Lamont Marcell Jacobs. 6:45, that takes that world, equals the world lead of Christian Coleman. Terence Jones, Bahamas, he's done that time as well. Adam Thomas of Great Britain, 6:57 there for second place. It's just a hair outside his own Scottish record. Maybe he'll get a shot at that in the final. Nazarov will have to wait to see if that's fast enough for a non-automatic spot, as will Cisse.
They are the two quickest non-automatic qualifiers at the moment, so it'll be 6:59 they're aiming at come the third of the semi-final. Right then, last semi-final, the men's 60. Bracy went 6:51 in the first, Jacobs 6:45 in the second. How will Christian Coleman go in the third? Carlos Nascimento, 5th in the European indoors last year, equalled his PB in qualification. Felipe Bardi, Brazil, South American champion, indoors and out. He's also gone low 6.6s. Alexander Askovic, another athlete needing a PB to qualify for the semis. Femi Ogunodi, world indoor bronze medal back in Sopot 8 years ago. Semi-finalist in the Olympics last year over 100. Bolade Ajomale, he ran really well from lane 1 in qualification, joint PB to get here. The world champion, the world record holder, Christian Coleman. What response can he produce here to Bracy's 6:51 and the Olympic champion Jacobs 6:45? Lane 7 empty, and it's Bernat Canet of Spain in lucky lane 8. Coleman is desperate to return to the global stage with yet another gold. Took the title in Birmingham in 18 indoors. Took the title in Doha over 100 meters the year later outdoors. He is back in an international vest, and he is in search of glory once more. What marker can the American put down from lane 6? The third semi-final, the men's 60 metres.
Set.
Coleman got a blistering start this morning. Also going well is Ajomale. Coleman miles clear. I think the Canadian might well have come home for the second automatic spot there. It wasn't quite as relaxed as it was this morning, but Christian Coleman is through to the final. Ajomale did really well coming home, I think, in the second spot. It was getting a little bit tight. Coleman has been given at the moment 6:51. Exactly the same time that he produced this morning, but this morning he was jogging, tonight he was working. Tension is creeping in to the demeanour of the defending reigning champion.
See Christian Coleman, you could hear it, there's microphones down there, you could hear him, that big exhalation of air. They've really got to get all that air out and then power, power, power. But you would not expect to see Christian Coleman behind in those first few metres, and he was, shuts it down ever so slightly. But you're right, Rob, not as smooth as he looked this morning. And Ajomale of Canada, you can see him there in lane 5. Tall figure, he's got to work hard to get that cadence going. He's got longer limbs than the rest of them. He does his job really well. And Coleman is looking to become only the second man to ever repeat. We haven't had a repeat world indoor champion since Bruni Surin of Canada, 93, 95. Christian Coleman trying to do this double 4 years apart. We saw it with Ava Svoboda yesterday as well. She looked so good in the first round and then just a bit tenser in the semi-final. Let's hope Christian Coleman isn't going to let the nerves get the better of him as well.
Good running by his North American counterpart, Bolade Ajomale. He took the second spot, 6:58. Ogunode was third, 6:60. He won't go through as one of the non-automatics. Well, a little bit of tension in the demeanour of Christian Coleman, but he is through to the final. So too Ajomale. Ogunode will miss out with 6:60. The two non-automatic qualifiers, Nazarov and Cisse, who were both tied on 6:59 in one of the earlier semi-finals. It's the final we were all hoping for. Jacobs, the Olympic champion, against Coleman, the world champion. But don't forget about Marvin Bracy, Coleman's compatriot.